Last time on Wanderlust, you had all gone to that cell with the broken open door and just shined your lights in and saw that the room was covered in carnage.
Well, I think we definitely found our Blighthounds, or at least they were here.
Estelle and I would like to investigate the biology lab. Summarize last experiment?
Basically what this study seems to be is about food replacement for an apex predator.
Is there anything that the Blighthound reacted negatively to?
It can't stay in an area for too long because, like, once the area is devoid of moisture that it can suck out of the ground, it wants to move on. You might pull up a study of, like, failed attempt at trackers, and it shows, like, a video of, like, two scientists...
Like shaky cam.
With, like, a tranq dart.
But what did the scientists look like?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Do you need a retcon?
No, that's... I kind of gave a detail here, so I think that's a really good question. So they look similar, but a little bit wrong, and in a way that is not immediately apparent why. It's things like proportions are just not quite what you'd be used to seeing. They appear to be modified technologically in a way that you would have never seen before and would be an extremely foreign concept to you. Autumn and Fred walk into a materials lab. The function of this building is for material analysis, not construction.
Then what can you tell me about this? He pulls out one of his mystery metal bars.
So basically it's stainless steel that has something mixed into it that makes it a little bit weaker than steel, but able to hold and give off radiation. Alright, so you swipe your way into the supply closet, and...
Oh, yeah.
You go over there and you pick up a chrome-looking staff, all made of chrome. Kind of looks like a baseball bat.
Do I know what this is called?
It would be like just a complete, like it could be called like a zibbly bop. Alright, you go back into the storeroom and ask for, what did I call it? Wilderness Mobility Assistance. And you go outside and set them on the ground. And then basically what you're looking at once it's done is a very rudimentary looking dirt bike. And, yeah, it's probably got room for 2, maybe 3 people if you're really lucky. You can see down into that, like, valley that's surrounded by those mountains. It's basically all dead.
Well, I think we may have found one of their homes.
All of you are standing on the mouth of this valley that leads down into kind of a horseshoe mountain range. And looking down, and you can see it starting from the top, but looking down into this valley, you can just see that everything has become desiccated. The trees are all withered, all of their leaves have gone a blackish gray and fallen off, and have started almost turning to a powder on the ground. Any brush that used to be there is dead. The grass is almost entirely gone, and what you're left with is a powdery, bare soil that just kind of leads into an expanse that's then surrounded by these ashy mountains that themselves have started to decay from the presence of so many of these Blighthounds for so long. It's odd looking into this because for the first time you can actually kind of see at distance, not necessarily all the way to the other side, but way further. There's much less blocking your view, but the wind itself kicks up a constant dust, so it's kind of foggy. Instead of disappearing into like green and purples and reds of all of this different kind of foliage, instead it just kind of disagrees into a gray fog of all of this dry dust floating in the air. You can almost immediately feel that the land is sucking at the moisture in your skin. Like you can tell your lips are chapping the longer you're in here. And you're kind of losing your breath a little bit as you're clearly breathing dry air. You can almost actively feel it trying to drink away your moisture. What does everybody do?
I think we might be pretty close to where the Blighthounds are.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Well, before we engage them in whatever plan we decide to cook up, we need a plan, obviously. We need to figure out how to get to and away from the place where we think the kids are, find that location. And then I think we need some bait to lure at least some of the creatures away from that den, and then some sort of way to keep them from running right back to us rescuing the kids from their den.
So I actually had a quick thought too. Why don't we take a second, maybe make a campfire and try and get our clothes to be a bit smokier so we're less obvious to the Blighthounds, since they're not a big fan of like fire and dry and all that.
I like that.
So why don't we set that up and take a second to plan, and then hopefully we'll be able to go get these kids.
Normally I would not make you roll to start a campfire, but in this case, I think, Mandy, you're trying to create an advantage here. So you're going to get an aspect, basically, if this is successful, to make, to like smoke mask both your scent and also the moisture on you.
Yeah, sorry, I had that thought last second.
No, that's a good idea. I like it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Can I try to find, like, dry brush for her to use to help her with this roll?
You can do that, but you really can't help her with the roll, I will say.
Everything is dry, though. Like, everything should burn.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm not being mean. That is basically like, you look down, it's all dry. But you can gather wood and bring it to her to help her out, you know.
I may play a little bit of fetch with Guffy while we're doing this.
Could I say that cooking is a skill that I would use here to set up the right campfire?
I like it.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, because that's a +3.
In that you're cooking your clothes?
No, she just has a smoker back home where she usually smokes turkey.
Matthew's taught me a lot of things. That's actually just a +3. Straight 0 on that roll.
Okay, so yeah, you I will see you guys get 1 free invoke of the aspect smoked clothes.
Nice.
Which I will add to the status sheet.
Smoky clothes from Smoky Banks.
Well, and that's 1 free invoke, but we could invoke it with our other
then
stuff,
you use
right? Okay.
fate points.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure.
All right, so y'all are sitting around a crackling fire. I'll say all of you are kind of trying to do the opposite of what you usually do, which is sit not in the smoke. Instead, you're very actively, like, sitting in the smoke, so it's a little bit like coughing and wheezing as you guys are trying to dry yourselves out.
We're all, like, at an angle where we're trying to, like, get our face out of the smoke, but, like...
Right.
So, oh, my eyes. Jeez, this is terrible. Oh.
It's not pleasant.
Oh, yeah, I mean, good job. I hope this helps, but man, it sucks. So, what are we using? What did we say we want to use as bait?
I think the best thing that we're going to be able to use is something with a lot of water in it. Because there's, like, nothing left here, and that seems to be what they go after. So, right now, what we've got water from water bottles. I've got, let me see here. I've got some mushrooms that I picked up that maybe we could use to kind of breadcrumb.
That's not a bad idea. We could maybe put some extra water on it, each one as you go by.
Oh, that's a good thought. Yeah, I like that. I
have a bowl from my cooking set that we could have as the jackpot, so to speak. Pour some water in there.
I like it. Maybe if I have extra mushrooms, we'll throw them in there as a special treat.
For being such good boys.
So we're planning on luring these things away with water, and then what? And then we sneak in past them?
So, I think we're going to have to find some way to trap them. So I think one of the next steps here is we're going to have to maybe go around the perimeter of these mountains and see if we can find either a flat surface that we can find a way to fence them in, or, I think the easier one would be if we can find a cave close enough that we could create some kind of door in front of.
That sounds like a plan. So scouting for that.
What do we want to use for the... Oh gosh, a smoke. Jeez. do we want to use as the door? Like, fire seems like it might work, but I'm worried about setting the whole valley on fire with gestures to all the dead everything.
I think fire is going to be probably our plan B. How much juice do these bikes still have in them? Are they going to be useful? Or I don't know. Fred, you think you could maybe take them apart and maybe try to make some kind of fence out of the metal from there?
I mean, it's not my normal type of crafting I do, but I can take a look and see if something might be useful.
Do we know if the mystery metal, if they cared about it at all?
Oh, you don't. Beyond what I told you.
Okay. Well, we also have the zippy bop. What was it, Autumn? They called the...
I was planning on keeping that as a plan B because I figure someone's going to have to get close if we're going to go in their den, and I don't really want to leave us unarmed.
Oh, but maybe, and this is a stretch, but maybe the same type of technology that made that is in the bikes. Maybe we could find a way to, like, I don't know, electrify a door or something like that. Fred, I think this is all you. I think you're going to have to take a look at all this stuff.
I take a look at all this stuff.
This is me not knowing how electricity works. If we think that, like, the zippy bop that numbs flesh has electric current, could we electrify something and have it stay electrified?
No.
But
Are
this
you
isn't
saying,
real
like,
life.
could you touch a fence and then walk away with the zippy bop still in your hand, and would that thing stay electrified?
Yes.
That is not the way electricity works.
Okay. It would ground itself, like, immediately.
It's alien stuff, right?
Well, no, that's really not an accurate explanation of how electricity works, but
Okay.
what you were describing, no, would not work. Things are only powered as long as there is something powering them.
It needs, like, constant contact.
Mm-hmm.
Estelle and Mandy don't know anything about this stuff, so I'm going to assume that it might work.
Yeah, we're using space magic here, Cody.
Exactly.
Spagic, if you will. And we can do whatever we want. We didn't establish electricity works the same on this planet as it does on Earth. Therefore, so...
Who knows what the moons are doing to it?
Dang moons!
So I think that scouting two things is actually going to be our number one move. So we got to find a place to put this trap, and we need to figure out where their den actually is. Because I'm going to guess that's where the kids are, or maybe at least close to it.
I think another important thing to figure out is how many are we dealing with? Are we dealing with, like, 3 or 4? Or are we dealing with 100? Because these plans could change rapidly if there's, like, 100 things we have to deal with.
I'm going to guess if there were 100, I don't think Smoky Banks would be around, honestly. They'd be consuming a lot.
Fair point.
So at least I don't think there's 100, but I don't know the exact number. So that's definitely something we're going to want to keep an eye out for. All right, so scout, then set up our trap, then set up our lure, our bait, then...
Why don't we scout the first area and then start setting up our trap? Because none of us are really good at sneaking around. And when we draw their attention from trying to find their den, I think we should know where we want to run to.
Oh, okay. Add something to the scouting list. Escape area.
Yes, we know they can't climb very well, and so it makes sense that we want to maybe climb for our escape. We find a particularly steep cliff face and manually climb.
Yeah, but what if these kids aren't in good shape and we need to...
Definitely possible.
Do we still have some of that rope from earlier?
Yes.
Juliet has 50 feet of rope.
That's a lot of rope.
Of hemp rope? Did it come in your adventurer's kit?
So where on the map are we camped right now? Are we, like, at the, like, north?
Sorry, I will put a little X where you guys are at. I will draw it in light blue. Right now, you guys would be, like, right here, let's say.
Okay.
And I'll say terrain, I'm drawing in red. I know, I'm not a great artist.
It looks like the back of a dragon.
Maybe that's what this mountain range is called. The Dragonback Mountains. All right, sorry. There was a technical bump there. I believe the last thing that would have been consistent for everyone is just we had drawn where we are on a map, so you guys are looking into the mouth of this C-shaped mountain range, which I believe is now called the Dragonback Mountains, and kind of planning on what your first place that you're going to go and investigate is. Is that right?
Well, just we're gonna start scouting. I feel like there are 3 things that we're kind of keeping an eye out for, with priorities for an escape route and a place to trap the Blighthounds.
So you want to find both of those, then you need to find the den, right?
Yes.
Are you going to try to separate at all, or are you sticking together for the time being?
For the time being, I would say we stick together.
Are you taking the motorcycles with you?
No.
Okay, you're leaving those.
Yeah, I think we leave them where where we set up this little camp area.
Okay.
Because this is an info gathering.
Gotcha.
Time.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of if one of you wants to draw kind of like a path that you start walking along, that'd be great for me.
So I'm gonna grab green, and I think we go kind of close to the mountains and just start on the north end, kind of where our campsite is. Holy crap, who did that?
That was me.
So you guys are kind of heading clockwise around this half C shape.
Yeah, we're not going to do the wild one that Vinny tried to draw for fun.
I was just messing around. I didn't know if it would draw it for you guys in real time or until I let up, and it was when I let up, apparently.
That's
when
hilarious.
I let go of the mouse.
That would be my suggestion. I don't know if anybody else wants to do that.
I was thinking that sounds reasonable. Just kind of stick to the side, like the edge of the mountains, and kind of see what we can see from that side. And we could always do the same thing on the other side too.
Yeah, well, and especially I personally would say we just follow the edge of the mountains clockwise around it, because that's going to be where we're either going to find a cliff face to trap them or a cave and our escape route.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is a couple of things. The first thing you guys need to do is making an overcome check to creep through the smoky, dusty forest. I shouldn't say smoky, it's more like this ambient, like almost snowfall of dust that's like a semi-whiteout.
So we each have to do that, yeah?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good for having nothing to add to this.
Investigate?
I don't think investigate works for sneaking.
Okay.
CrossFit or composed? I'm going to argue CrossFit because we're dealing with a mountainous area.
I feel like composed.
Dang it. Okay, fine.
I'm assuming athletics doesn't work because they're not about sneaking athletics.
No, I don't think your athletics are good at this.
Oh, I agree.
And we all need to do this?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone who's going, I guess, if someone wants to hang back, they don't have to, but...
I got a +1.
Got a +2.
I got a +1.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure what type of skill to use for this.
That is entirely what you can convince me makes sense. This is like any Powered by the Apocalypse thing. It's narratively you justified to me how it makes sense if it does or doesn't.
What is the specific challenge I'm trying to overcome here?
You're walking through the forest and hoping that a giant Blighthound doesn't hear you step on a twig.
I mean, notice. Just keep track of where I'm stepping and keeping an eye out, making sure I don't step on twigs.
I can go for that more than investigate, yeah.
If he's doing that, can I have perception?
Sure.
Got 3 then.
Got a 1.
Okay. So you creep through the soft dust that's on the ground, and as you walk, you notice that for the most part, your footsteps are very muffled. It's like you're walking in sudden snowfall because there's so much powder collected on the ground. As you step, you can almost kind of feel yourself breathing in this like dust that's on the ground. You kind of start coughing a little bit just because you are like sucking in mouthfuls of dust. So there's the occasional, it's like a gunshot of like, and it's the loudest thing in the world at this point. It's just those tiny little coughs as you start meandering your way around the kind of foothills of the mountains that are, looming above you, that at this point when you look up, you can barely see them through the dust smoke all around you. All right, now everyone, make me invest. Well, actually, I'm going to say one person is going to look for this is basically creating an aspect. You're looking for something, right? Like either a place to trap something or a place to escape. So who would like to actually make that roll?
I have a good notice.
Okay.
So I can do one of those. Which one should I do?
Ooh, they're both really important.
Yeah.
Personally, I would like a better place to hold them, but that's just me.
I was going to say that. Seems more specific. So
I would much rather be able to find a cave to trap them in personally than a wall, because that's less for us to build.
okay. So I will roll for that one.
Or we can make like a stronger door.
That is a +5.
Dadgum.
The first time I've rolled anything good ever.
Yay!
All right. So that is
You find all locations for traps.
that is very, very, very good. So generally where you're walking is kind of this sloping, still this would have been a grassy slope basically that you're walking along. And then up above you, it starts to get more and more steep. And then you can see breaks where suddenly there is like bare rock, showing through the grass. And then it kind of rolls and then hills up again, rolls and hills up again, right? So you're just kind of on the foothills of these mountains. And as you walk around, you see a pretty extreme one of those breaks where there's like a jutting out area with rock. And you can see that the ground has kind of collapsed and sunk in, and it's created a rift that's going into the mountains, right? So it's basically a split in the mountains.
So there's a crack in it.
Yeah, that's like reached all the way down to where you're walking, right? It's pretty narrow. It's like one, maybe a little bit more than a shoulder width wide that you can walk into. And up at the top, it's open, right? But this is a really tall area and you can walk back in there, but you're not really sure what's back in there. But, this is what you find.
Okay. So, so it's like kind of a chasm and we're at the bottom of it. Like the entrance of this chasm.
Yes.
It's like the type of thing like 131 hours or whatever.
128 hours.
It's like that sort of thing he's stuck into.
Yeah. It's like that. Something you could fall in from the top.
Yeah, but we're at the bottom.
But you're at the bottom of it.
Looking
yeah.
out. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think if we can lure them into the back of this seems pretty sealable, as more sealable than I think we'll find anywhere else after I explain what this is.
I mean, yeah, this looks perfect.
Well, hopefully nothing else lives there. Or if they do, they can fight it out with the Blighthounds.
Do you want to go investigate that?
Probably, yeah. No, but yes.
Okay.
I'll go with.
How about Autumn goes in?
Does everybody go in?
How about Autumn goes in?
I mean, like, leads this.
Yeah, I think we're sticking together right now.
Okay.
So this, how wide is this area?
Like a little bit more than shoulder width. Let's call it 6 feet
a crevasse.
wide,
it's
right?
a crevasse, and we're at the bottom.
Yeah, and this would be many, many, many feet tall, right? Like this is maybe like 60 feet to the top. It's deep in here.
So I'm confused. Is this where we're trying to lead the Blighthounds, or is this our escape path?
This is where we're trying to lead the Blighthounds.
Is there enough space for them to fit into it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they fit, right?
They're not wide, right?
But they're 15 feet tall. They're going to be wider than shoulder width.
I said 6 feet wide. That's as wide as you are.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's like as tall as you are.
Okay. I thought you said shoulder width. I'm sorry.
I did. I amended.
Okay. Sorry.
I clarified, let's say.
The way I will treat this is that there will be room for this because Caitlin rolled a +5, which is phenomenal in this game.
That's a good way to think about it, yeah.
And Cody is not going to, Cody said this is a
successful find.
Yes. All right, so all of you creep your way in here, and there's a few things that are noticeable right off the bat. One, it is open at the top, right? But looking up, you can tell it gets pretty narrow at the top. Like, it's a struggle to get up the top. And where it is open, it is domed at the top, and then there's a split. Which is to say, it isn't like a sheer cliff face, and then you get out. You would, if someone was in here, you would have to climb straight up a rope to get out, right?
Yeah.
And then at the top, you're at a very, very, very narrow escape point, right? Once you go in, it does kind of widen out a little bit. It seems like water has poured down here for a long time and eroded it out. The ground down here is softer than the rock above, so it's kind of washed out eventually. And I will say, given how well you rolled, I will give you this clue for free. you find a wrapper on the ground.
Like a candy wrapper?
Like a food wrapper, yeah. Like something that would contain food.
Okay.
Something decidedly not organic.
Not natural, yeah.
Yeah.
This might be where they scouted the Blighthounds from before.
Either that or it's something that the kids have dropped. I could see either being the case.
Is it something we recognize, candy wrapper, Cody?
Ooh, yes. It would be immediately recognizable to you.
Okay.
Like something from Smoky Banks recognizable?
Yes. At the very least, something from an eco-herb recognizable. Seems like something that maybe someone would carry, like, oh, hey, I'm going out for a walk for a while and I have a couple of, like, packaged granola bars, you know?
So we probably have some.
Right.
All right, who dropped this?
So it's nice eco-herb compostable wrapping, right? It's made from wood pulp.
Do we see any other signs of persons?
You can make investigation checks now.
Can we all do this, or only one person?
As many people as want to ask questions.
I'll roll one. I'm going to use Inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use Perception to see if there's like anything like obvious lying around?
Sure.
And I'm going to try with Notice.
I got a +1.
I got a 2.
I got a -2.
All right, so I'll say, Fred, you're kind of looking around where you saw this wrapper, and you can see faint impressions in what's really no longer very soft ground that's here because it's mostly washed out. But you can maybe see, like, mudded footprints or dusty footprints that are stuck on with just the barest bit of moisture before they, like, crumble and fall away that looked like small shoes that maybe
Looks at notes for age of children.
a 10-year-old might wear.
Which direction were those footprints heading? Can I tell that?
This cavern ends, so they can't go any deeper. Does that make sense?
Okay,
You can only leave. This doesn't keep going. This ends.
got it. Okay.
And they're not here, right?
No, there is not a child here. No.
Are there any children skeletons?
No.
I mean, it seems dumb, but
Is there any chance of trying to follow those footprints back out of the cave?
Yeah, I mean, but they would just point you back out of the cave, and then you're basically standing in dust that is blowing around constantly. So at that point, it gets more difficult.
Okay, so basically once it gets out of the cave, no. Okay.
Yeah. All right, anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, what else? Did anyone else get any information?
No, not with the rolls they got, no.
Okay.
No, Estelle's too busy looking at the entrance of the cave trying to figure out what we're going to do to cover it.
Oh, are you looking at the entrance of the cave right now?
Yes.
Okay, as you look, you see something very small creeping out of the, like, swirling gray outside. You can almost see it looming out of the trees, but it's really difficult to get a solid grasp on it because, you know, like, what you're looking into is like clouds, right? It's this moving void. You just kind of slowly see this shape. It doesn't seem Blighthound size, smaller, creeping its way up. And then you see two bright orange eyes pop open and stare at you from the mouth of the cave, very low to the ground.
so a baby Blighthound.
Bum, bum, bum.
And this is where we end, half an hour in.
It doesn't always end when there's something happens, you know?
I'm assuming just Estelle sees this right now since we're all, like, scuffing our boots looking at the footprints.
She's the first one to see it. And then what she does next is up to her.
Okay. I am going to say she was looking at the front, but she was still by everyone else.
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
So Estelle is going to slowly reach her hand back to whoever is directly behind her, beside her, and is going to start patting their arm. And I'm going to say that's probably Juliet, honestly. She's going to start getting low to the ground, and I'm going to use my animal handling to figure out what this baby Blighthound is trying to do.
All right. Roll me that animal handling check.
Do we know it's a baby Blighthound?
I'm assuming, but we'll find out. That's a +3.
Okay, so with a +3, the thing in the mouth of the cave, very tentatively, as you kind of crouch down, starts to pad forward really slowly. as it extends its arms and legs, I guess just legs, on animals, they're legs, you can see where the joints break, a faint glowing orange lighting up through the smoke and the fog outside through those swirling clouds. Its mouth kind of yawns open in that stressed dog kind of way, and when it does, you can see glowing orange inside of it as it pads very slowly forward. It doesn't get too close, but it gets to where you're no longer, it gets far enough into the cave that there's less immediate swirling, like, dust around it. And as it gets close, you can see that it isn't, like, walking like it has a broken paw, but it's favoring one paw a little bit. You can see a little bit of blood around its mouth and a little bit on one paw, like on its claws.
Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. Oh,
and then just for the record on size, think, I would say you would guess something like 40 pounds. It is...
Is it about the size of Guffy?
No, Guffy would be, like, I think, like, Tibetan Mastiffs weigh, like, upward of 150 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say Guffy would be much bigger.
Like, my dog weighs 25 pounds. This weighs 15 more pounds than that. It's fairly thin, and it's low to the ground, but its legs are really long. It's walking kind of spidery. Like, it could stand up a lot taller than it is right now. Right now, it's kind of almost slithering across the floor.
This has to be an incredibly newborn Blighthound, don't you think? If full grown, they're 15 feet, and this is significantly smaller than Guffy.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Guffy, I will say, isn't out loud growling, but he's definitely, like, ears back, crouched. He's like a fluff ball. Like, all of his hair is standing up, and he's just, like, staring at it.
Estelle does her hand signal for him to heal.
He just doesn't move.
Oh, this is really bad. This is, like, really, really bad. Because the parents, what we found out from the camp back there, the parents really protect the little ones. I don't know what could have hurt this thing, but if they find out that he's over here...
Well, this is probably a terrible idea, but if we let the baby Blighthound go into this chasm and then block it, the parents would be very focused on this spot and getting it out, right?
I would say that is very likely, yes.
It also means we have a lot less time to plan everything out, though.
Yes, it does. It does mean that we're about to start moving really fast.
But I will say, I think it's better bait than water.
I would agree with that. I don't want to start moving, but I think we're gonna have to.
How are we trapping this thing in? We got like 2 seconds. Fred, what you got?
I haven't even had a chance to look at those bikes yet.
And we left them back there.
Right.
Also that.
And, okay, so Estelle is gonna pull some of the... She's gonna start slowly backing towards, like, as far back as she can go. And she's gonna pull out the mushrooms that she had in her backpack and try to use that to, like, bring it farther in. Just an idea. We could, I mean, it's not going to be as good, but we could just get a bunch of the dead wood that's out there and light it on fire.
I mean, I think it's what we got at this point.
I think so. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Is it coming? Is it following her?
Okay, so is your goal here to lure it far enough into the cave that everyone else can run around it and you can build up a little barrier?
Yes.
My goal is to lure it, and she's gonna try to help fix the paw. as she's gonna give you guys as much time as possible, but also that feels very Estelle.
I could see it. I could see it on your face that you're like, she's going to help this thing, isn't she? She's going to. I know she's going to.
I'm going to give you a fate point for that. And I'm also going to tell you you're going to have to make an animal handling check for all of that. And this is going to be a doozy.
I know.
He's gonna give you a fate point and then tell you you're going to need that fate point immediately.
Yeah.
Cody, is there any, like, bigger rocks, sticks, things around that we could use to make it so this small Blighthound couldn't get over?
Currently, that Blighthound is standing in the entrance of the cave, so you're gonna, or the fissure, so you're gonna have to wait for Mandy to see if this works at all, or if it just starts screaming and attacks.
Okay, that is a +4.
Okay, so you back further into the chasm and present these very moist mushrooms, right?
I'm going to say I also pour a little bit of water on them.
Oh, okay. I like that flair there.
Because that was a really good idea from Autumn.
And this thing kind of creeps up real slowly, still slinking along the ground, long legs crawling, inching towards you. You kind of realize this thing is probably a lot bigger than you think it is. It gets past the rest of your group before it kind of pounces on your hand. You can tell it staggers a little bit on its one paw that it's favoring. And when it grabs them from you, it scratches into your hand, and you can feel as it does that, your skin kind of dry, like your palm gets kind of dried and cracked. And you have these like 3 somewhat deep and desiccated cuts in your hand as you pull your hand back, and this thing starts not just devouring, but also clearly drinking the water that you've given it. It does that pretty happily, and you can kind of get in there and start trying to, like, put a splint on the leg, I guess.
Well, okay, so what she's going to do is she's going, while it's like, because I'm going to guess it at least has the thought process to be eating and watching her, since animals are protective of their food. Mm-hmm. So she's going to reach into, and kind of assuming some intelligence here, but she's going to reach into her pack and she's going to pull out, because I do have a medical kit. Yeah, I have a basic field first aid kit. So she's going to pull out like some bandaging and like have her hand up, and she's going to show like wrapping her hand while it's watching her. And then she's going to offer it some more mushrooms with water and slowly move towards it to start bandaging its paw.
Gotcha. So all that goes successfully. You're able to slowly start bandaging a paw. Meanwhile, the rest of you can run. This thing is distracted. Oh, Mandy, you took 1 physical strain.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, that was
and I just want to say, like, she is doing slow, deliberate, not only just for the Blighthound baby's sake, but also for everyone else to have a lot of time.
I will say this thing also remains fairly quiet.
Nice.
And something I will say, at least for Fred is not running. Fred is creeping away.
Yeah.
Does not want to give this thing any reason to chase him.
Walking with purpose.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to keep giving it water mushrooms as long as y'all need me to.
Is there any bigger rocks or tree
like dead wood?
Like enough that we...
Yeah, you can find some large pieces of wood or rock that you can try to pile up in front of that.
Okay. Do we roll for that, I take it?
Yes. Everyone that's working on it can kind of roll together.
Dexterous hands?
That's fine.
Can I use athletics like I'm carrying like big chunks of rock over?
That's also fine.
Golly.
I got a 0.
Either thing I would use is +1, so physique, I guess.
Don't you have a crafting craft?
Do you think this would be crafting?
You're like building a wall out of sticks and rocks. Yeah, I think this qualifies as crafting.
Oh, okay, sure. I will take it if you'll give it to me.
I think this is pretty much, this is like within the wheelhouse of crafting.
I got a 1.
I got a 0.
Dadgum.
I got a 4.
Yay, Fred!
I rolled a -3.
Oh.
So you build a kind of crappy wall that's maybe like chin height of just broken rocks and wood. Fred kind of helps you direct to build some basic, like framing and then pile that in, so you're making like a little bushcraft wall in front of this. Well, you can kind of faintly see inside Estelle very gingerly wrapping its paw up, feeding it a little bit. All right, Estelle, do you then just like kind of run, or how do you break free from it?
That's what I was wondering.
And how does Estelle get out now that we've built this wall?
Estelle can climb.
Yeah.
She's very good at CrossFit.
I am okay at CrossFit. I think she keeps doing Guffy, by the way, followed them.
Okay, that's fine.
I feel like
that's fine.
She would not have had Guffy stay with her as soon as
probably that'd be a bad idea.
Yeah, as soon as they started doing a wall, no, Guffy's out. No, I think Estelle keeps doing like slow, deliberate movements And so even if it sees her moving towards the front of the cave, she, like I said, she grabbed a lot of those mushrooms. So she's just like, she just keeps like feeding that to it, you know? So it's like dropping one here and moving. And then as soon as she gets to the wall, then that's where she goes quicker and climbs.
All right. Make me just a real quick, climb, overcome check here. This isn't super hard. I mean, it's only this tall and it's made of broken stuff. It shouldn't be that bad.
+2.
So yeah, you kind of quickly hop over the wall, and when you turn back, you can see that the little baby Blighthound, like, it runs over and kind of puts its paws up and, like, it's just peeking a nose over and looks at you, and then just immediately returns back to that source of water that you left in the cave.
Yeah, I made sure to leave, like, just enough, you know? So, yeah, Estelle drops over the edge. All right. Next part of the plan. He's got a little bit of food in there, a little bit of water in there for a few minutes before I would say he probably is going to start crying. So I think we have just enough time to maybe figure out where to escape.
Right.
Oh, quick thought. Can we... I know it's already, like, burned over, but can we see the trail that, like, where it came from?
No.
Okay.
Oh, before we start moving around this area stealthily, can we tie things over our faces as masks so we don't cough?
We had masks previously from, like, earlier.
I like that.
We did.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, everyone make me another sneak check, and I'll say that there is that aspect of mask that you can pay a fate point to spend on if you want.
Okay. And this is sneak.
This is like the same kind of check you made before, yeah.
Okay.
I'll pay a fate point. Why not? I have 3 of them.
Yeah, I think I should probably do one of those as well.
How much does that get us?
+2.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I've been rolling straight 0 this whole time. But that is the aspect gives us a +2.
If you spend a fate point.
Oh, if you spend a fate point.
I'm gonna do that, and then I'd have a +2.
You know what? I've got points. I'll use it. That makes it a +3 for me.
Okay.
So everyone was at 2 points except for Estelle, who's at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used a fate point, and that got me to a +1.
Yikes.
Nice.
I'm at a +3, or Autumn's at a +3.
Okay. And then the next thing is just to make me... what are you looking for next, I guess? Are you looking for a cliff face that you could rig up some kind of escape mechanism to?
Yes. I could do my notice again.
Okay.
Well, and we want to find it just at least a little bit away from where the baby is trapped.
Yeah. That's a +3.
Okay. So, I will say at this point, you've made your way over to...
For the listeners, that's the green line on the map.
Oh.
Well, they won't have this map necessarily.
This is...
I'm going to put it with the notes.
Oh, okay. So they entered at the westmost, opening of this sea. They're now at, like, the furthest east point of this. I guess it's a backward sea or a sideways horseshoe. And that's where they find a cliff face out. Yeah.
The apex.
Yeah, so it's the furthest point.
Yeah, like the apex of the mountain range.
Away, yeah.
From their motorcycles. And they've been going around the perimeter. And I'll say with a +3, this is basically exactly the best way that you could hope to describe this. It is a nice cliff face. So that kind of like thing where the hill rises and then eventually breaks into like a sheer cliff face and then rolls up again to further mountains. This is just a place where that break happened again extremely and the ground just kind of eroded out to where you just see like craggy rock going up a cliff face.
I assume it gets to a point where like one could conceivably like walk along the ridge.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Right, yeah. And you were saying how far up?
Yeah, it'd be something like probably 50 to 60 feet up.
Okay. So, Autumn, do you want to climb up with some rope and anchor that there so that we have an escape rope that we can run to? Is that the best we can do probably on this short notice?
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Any chance that maybe Fred could make a harness in case we have to drag any of the kids up? Oh, and we'll have to get Guffy up. So I think we're going to need a harness regardless.
Okay, I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, Estelle. do we want to bring Guffy up now?
I think that is a popular opinion, and yes. The only caveat I will say is he is really good if any of the smaller children are incapacitated.
I think I can carry some of them. She flexes.
Okay. We'll use Guffy for the long term, then.
Is Guffy going to be all right just staying up here while we're out doing stuff?
I think he'll be fine.
Guffy's the best kind of NPC. He does as he's told and until then he basically disappears. He throws ammo at you and stays out of the way.
Well, and he's been with Estelle, doing not exactly this, but enough that like
he knows that stay means stay.
He knows how to obey directions. Yeah.
And he knows when Estelle's serious and when it's just like stop being underfoot.
Yeah.
Cody, does my grapple gloves help me climb this at all?
I think that what we said with that is it doesn't help you succeed. It gives you shift if you do.
Okay. I'm assuming athletics for this.
Yeah, unless you have something very specific for climbing, which
I don't.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. You said you were like a firefighter, so I didn't know if that was like...
She did, I kind of like lumped a lot of stuff just in athletic. Like, she's very muscular.
Fine.
Oh, that'll be a 4.
Okay, cool. So you scamper up, and so you just like basically are carrying a rope up here to offer like an aid. Okay.
And I get whatever shift that would be for having my grapple gloves.
So this is like a sucky thing. Is there something that you want to use that shift on? Does that make sense?
How does shift work again? I haven't gotten it before.
Well, basically, it's like succeeding with style, but when you're climbing a cliff face, you know, what does style mean? You do it silently.
I can do that, or could I make it? I don't know. Does shift give you, like, can I make aspects with it?
Insofar as they pertain to you climbing up the wall, yes. What aspects do you want?
What I was going to say is, could I, like, chip out some space to give handholds? Or mark a path for the...
You know, for that, yeah, actually, marked path, I think, works as well, yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, so I'm marking, like, a path, like taking out, like, small chips. So I'll put that on our shared aspects.
No, I like that a lot. That's very clever, yeah.
Thanks.
I want to try to use some of this rope to make some, like, harnessy things that we can leave with the rope in case we need to hook some people to it.
Cool, make me a crafting check.
Holy... I am rolling so bad today. That is a 1.
Okay.
My crafting skill is +4. I rolled -3.
Oh my gosh.
I will say then in this case what it is you have one loop that you could use for like Guffy, one kid. So if you have like an unconscious kid, then you can carry one up at a time before you have to lower the rope and pull another one up. And someone has to be down there to put the kid into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, can we test it by hauling Guffy up?
Yes. I will say that you can basically do for free.
Okay.
So you hoist this thing around Guffy. He gets lifted up. He's panting and yawning and seems very unhappy about it, but is doing it silently. He's taking it like a little trooper. He's just looking at you like...
Estelle makes sure to throw some of his treats up there.
He's giving you just dog eyes, just staring at you like,
we'll be right back, buddy.
I know. We'll be back so fast, and we'll have lots of extra hands to give you lots of pets.
He just kind of like flops down up on the top of this like ridge, just like paws at the edge, staring down. Like
either that or he'll never see us again. But I'm hoping for the first one.
Autumn gives like Fred like the really stare. She makes her way back down safely but quickly.
Okay.
Have we started hearing any noises from Baby Blight?
Ooh. Not just yet, but that's a really good thing to keep in mind, is that thing's gonna run out of food.
Okay.
That's why we're going fast. Like, we're just gone.
Alright, well, the good news is, I can't hear, Baby Blight yet, so, I think we try to find the den before... well, with what time we have left, I think we try to find the den so we can kind of be prepared to see if we can find the kids there.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, so let me ask a couple things real quick. Once you find the den, are you immediately trying to distract them, or are you going to go back for the bikes?
My thought was when we go for the den, we're just going to wait for the
baby to start screaming, and then hoping the majority of them leave, because that was the original plan.
Right, because we're not escaping with the bikes.
No, not necessarily. The bikes...
Oh, right. Because you're just using that thing running out of food, basically. And then you're hoping they're all going to chase after it.
Well, and the original plan was because the bikes aren't going to get us home. So the plan was going to be to possibly dismantle them to use them as part of the trap, but we left them.
So you don't need to anymore.
Because we thought we would have more time.
Right.
No. I love it.
Yep, so they're not... We could always loop back for them, like once we escape out the side, go back around for them, maybe.
I think that would be useful in terms of, like, being able to drag unconscious children with us, but we'll see.
Yeah, if it turns out we've got like 2 kids that are really, really not in good shape, then I think that would be our swing back around.
Yeah.
I was also gonna, like, it depends on kind of what the Blighthounds do after this. You know,
That
if they're,
too.
like, just, like, sleeping in their den, like, yeah, we'll go back for the bikes. If they're, like, prowling around, it's like, nope, we're out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I basically just need a heading from you guys. Where are you heading on the map?
I kind of was thinking we finish our loop, but okay, can I ask, while we've been doing our loop, can we assume we can see like halfway into the center in case there is something? So like that way we don't have to cover the whole ground in the middle, but we can see a lot of it.
I will say you're fine. Your impulse is not wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
You're okay.
Okay, so I would make the assumption that based on the current route that we've been doing, which is going from the northwest to the northeast around the circle, we have not seen towards the middle a den.
Not yet, no.
Okay, then I would say we keep going along the edge of the mountains.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm not going to have you make a stealth check in this case yet. Just someone make me an investigation check.
Not Autumn.
I have +2.
Go for it, Juliet.
All right.
It's better than mine.
That's a +2.
Sounds about right for Fate.
Okay, so you start creeping your way down towards the like southern leg of this horseshoe, right? And as you do, the mountains here above you are steeper and get far rockier and craggier on the way down, right? So there's more like tumbled rocks, boulders lying in these forests, and you can almost see like along your perimeter, there's a rise towards the inside, right? Like just naturally there is a slight rise and a pile of rocks that clearly looks like forever ago fell down and grew over. And from what you see, you just see this big pile of rocks, and laying on top of them, you see 3 Blighthounds. And this is way at a distance, right? So it's just through the smoke, and I'll draw this as like an orange X, right? Or an orange circle. So this was kind of craggy all the way, like fallen boulders, and more of those like breaks where you can see bare rock. But right there is where there was a large boulder that fell, kind of a pile of them. And just laying on top of a few of them, you can see just like faint, glowing orange outlines through the smoke of what you are guessing are full-size Blighthounds.
Do we see the kids at all?
No. And you just see them laying on top of rocks.
Probably not from this distance. Yeah, it's like we see a speck in the distance that looks like a Blighthound.
How far around this inverted C are we?
So you would be probably, I will update your little blue X.
On a clock would be like 4 o'clock.
You would be like right here,
So 5 o'clock.
looking this way.
So like 5 o'clock, the rope is at 3 o'clock
Yes.
on this half circle.
And the Blighthounds are about, a quarter way down 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
The map will be attached.
At what distance are we? Like, what distance are we from this rock cropping with the Blighthounds on it?
Far enough away that if you whisper, they're not going to immediately jump on you, but close enough that if you talked at a normal volume, they'd probably be pricking an ear and running after you.
Okay.
Closer than you probably want to be, but it took that long to see through the smoke.
Right. Okay, so it was smoke. It was mostly smoke that was obscuring our ability to see them.
Or the dust, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's so, and it's moving, so, sometimes it'll clear and then come back. It's
Gotcha.
transient.
I was mostly thinking in terms of how long would it take us to get there once they vacate for us to go see if there are children there.
I will say that the exact timing of that is not going to be super relevant.
So, before we charge the den, do we want to check the rest? Assume I'm whispering, by the way, Cody. I'm just not...
Yeah. You're good.
Audio podcast.
Do we want to charge the den, or do we want to keep checking along the edge of the mountain to make sure the kids aren't in, like, a crevice? Since we found that wrapper, if they've escaped the Blighthounds or being kept a little bit away from them?
That's a fair thing to check. Cody, you drew this like pile of rocks, not against the edge.
Correct.
Does that mean we can go between the edge and the rock and like where they're sitting, or no?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, there is space there. It's rougher terrain, like it's a little bit harder going. Because this is kind of like the mountains are almost continuous to this pile of rock, but just not total. Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
the terrain is rockier all of the way to that pile where you see a couple of them sitting.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. I would say, how about what if this is where we split up, in that if someone wants to keep looking, and then two of us can stay here in case they start running, and that way someone's ready to rush in as soon as they're on the move.
As you say that, you hear a very odd sound to your ears, which is a shout from a young woman, like way off in the forest, right? So from the north, you just kind of hear a shout, and all of the Blighthounds lift up for a moment, look towards it, and then lay back down. The shout, too, you can't hear specific words, but it doesn't, like, cut off suddenly, and it doesn't sound like...
distressed.
It is not pained, it is more warning. You're just kind of getting, like, that vague, like, it's more communicative. Does that make sense? It's not like a shriek of pain. It's like a shout of warning that the Blighthounds clearly heard and that did nothing about. I drew an S where the sound is on the map, just kind of to the north of you.
What in the innumerable moons was that?
That sounded like another human, right?
Shh.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore.
I mean, should we just head towards it? They seemed unfazed by it, which we'll figure out later.
I'm kind of leaning more towards splitting up again. If two of us want to go after the sound and two of us want to check the den, only because I can't imagine them just letting them walk around, but I'm really confused what's going on.
I'm starting to wonder if there's maybe things about these Blighthounds we don't really understand.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty.
I'm happy to go towards the voice, and not the den.
Are you sure, Julia? You seem like you're getting into the adventure just a minute ago.
Yes, I'm fine.
Autumn, do you want to go with me? Obviously once they leave, but just in case there's something left behind.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have any of you guys put yourselves in danger if I wasn't willing to do it, so definitely.
Alright, so Juliet and Fred are gonna head north, right?
Yes.
Towards the sound, yeah.
And I think it would be a good idea if we took like a wide... Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Like take a wide angle around, like not...
So you don't want to get too close to the Blighthounds you can see.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Blighthounds you can see. That's not ominous at all.
Alright, we're gonna do a little bit of a coin flip here. So I'm gonna say plus is Den Crew, minus is Sound Crew, blank I reroll. Plus, that was Den Crew, right?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
All right, Den Crew. We're going to play this out. So, that would be Dr. Estelle and Frederico.
No.
All right? No. Dr. Estelle and Autumn. Sorry. Dr. Estelle and Autumn. You, whisper goodbye.
Well, and just to make sure, we're waiting until that baby starts screaming.
Yeah. So,
okay.
You, whisper a goodbye as your friends disappear off in kind of a loop towards where they think that sound came from. And you just kind of have to sit there and wait for a while. This is where seconds start to drag as you're just staring at these very lazy-looking Blighthounds. Just three of them. They're very stretched out. They seem very at ease.
Before anything happens, does Estelle have a weapon on her?
Estelle, I don't know.
Estelle, do you have any way to defend yourself?
I have one knife.
Okay, I hand her. Okay, Estelle, do you want the Zappy Bop? Zippy Bop? What did I call it? What did Cody call it?
Don't know.
Why do I hate myself like this?
You called it the Zippy Bop.
Do you want the Zippy Bop or do you want a machete?
Oh, I think I'd be more comfortable with the machete.
All right, I quote unquote toss her the machete.
But my hunting knife might work for a little bit.
That's not a knife.
This is annoying.
I mean, it's not that big, but, it might do something.
I just want you to be safe,
Well, I'm good at making myself look really big, so...
Again, I want you to be safe. Heroes don't go into, the final fight with the monsters unarmed, so...
I'm armed with my knowledge. I know what I'm doing.
Dr. Estelle is going to have her own, PBS program called Armed with Knowledge.
I feel a little bit worried that I'm the voice of reason all of a sudden. Juliet's only been saying mean things to me the whole trip, and now I'm the one prepared.
Autumn.
Excuse you.
Autumn. I have to be real with you here. You've been extremely rude to Juliet this whole time.
I brought her plants. It's okay.
She can handle herself. She's doing fine. I think we all need a little bit more confidence in each other. We've made it this far. We're doing a great job.
That is completely fair. Thanks for the pep talk. Hold on to that machete, though.
I've got both.
Good.
All right, go, Cody.
You double fist the knife and the machete for a while. Autumn, you've got this kind of humming stun baton that you've given a name that I will not remember.
No, you gave it the name. I kept it.
Oh, I think I gave it... Well, anyways, doesn't matter. Time stretches. I don't know if any of you have ever sat in a tree stand waiting for a deer. It takes a long time because time sucks when there's nothing going on. And then, the flip of a switch, you hear what you assume is the sound of a whining Blighthound. It is piercing. It is so loud. And when you hear that, all of the Blighthounds that you can see, 3 of them, immediately on their feet, pointed not exactly in the same direction as you heard the sound coming from, but generally north towards the chasm where you left that Blighthound. And without a single sound, almost totally silently, the 3 on top of the hill, on top of those rocks, run, and then you just see shapes going from under the rocks, up and out, and just charging across this dusty... you can just see these faint orange glowing lines just scattering through the smoke.
How many?
A lot. More than a couple.
Do we see any shapes that don't look like Blighthounds?
No. Decidedly not.
Okay. All right, Autumn, I think that's our cue. Let's go. Let's go fast.
Yep, we're going.
All right, so you rush up to the rocks, and you can see that the ones that were the 3 Blighthounds were laying on were kind of high up, and then it drops off an edge, and when you look down in there, you can kind of see that there is a shallow cave that runs down, and it kind of just disappears into darkness. Do you want to investigate?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Are you kind of going in fast, or are you kind of trying to creep?
Somewhere in between. And Estelle's got I would say Estelle's got her jacket, and she's shaking it to make noise.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you're trying to keep your eyes peeled, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say we're going fast but not reckless is what I would say. Right, we're not just running in blind, but we're also not going slow.
Make me investigation checks.
Why?
Do any of you guys have lights?
Estelle has a flashlight.
Okay, are you turning that on or is that off?
Ominous question.
I'm asking because there's a very specific thing about Blighthounds, which is that they glow, and you're going into a dark area. So first question, do you turn on your flashlight before you go in there?
That's up to you. I only have matches and a lighter.
Oh, I thought you had a flashlight.
I do not have a flashlight.
Oh, then no, we don't have a flashlight. I don't have a flashlight.
Then I have a lighter, so I'll just, you know what? I will say I'll flick my lighter because that's pretty small.
Okay. All right, so roll me investigation checks.
I got a 0.
Okay. I got a +2. But you know what? Just to make sure, I'm gonna use that fate point to bump us up, one of my fate points, just so we extra sure we see everything in here.
Okay, and I'll say that in this case, using the lighter helps you because it is kind of risky.
Okay.
So I'll say you start walking into the cave kind of quickly, and at first you're kind of concerned about that, and then you notice that you see no orange, right? There's no glowing of Blighthounds. And then you strike your lighter, and it does cast faint light around you. And you can see that this cave runs kind of, not exactly underground per se, it is covered by rocks. And so as you work your way down, you can see that you can see areas where Blighthounds have laid. They're kind of all congregated in one area, just like divots in the dust. You can tell that they all kind of piled in one place. Judging by like number of divots, there's like easily 10 of them could fit down here. It's a pretty large but somewhat low area, so you're kind of crouched to get under there, but for like a dog, they kind of like a confined space.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that you notice most is that there is a deep trough cut through the ground in this den that like runs all the way across the den.
How deep?
Maybe 4 feet. It's smooth, like it's in the rock. It feels like it's been eroded by water, like a very smooth basin. So like, if you ever like seen like where water is cut through rock, you know, it's kind of like that smoothed over, like almost glassy surface. That's what this is, like a channel where it looks like water had flowed through this den.
Are there kids in there?
No, it is totally empty.
Are there kids in the rest of the cave that we can see?
No, it's totally empty.
Okay, were there any more caves out there? Do we need to check any of those?
I mean, do you think they're all with the woman that made the sound?
Possibly. If they're there, then we need to kind of book it towards...
Yeah, we could get to the extraction point, and hopefully Fred and Juliet will be there when we get there, and we can get out of here.
Yeah, I think that's what we do. We didn't see any other cave-like things, right?
No, so what you saw is that there was a tumbled area of the mountains that led down to this pile of rocks on top of a cave, right?
Yes.
And this is clearly where the Blighthounds have been congregating for some time, and it looks like there is a now dried like river that used to cut through their den that is gone.
Okay. So I'm going to suggest that maybe instead of sticking to the edges of the mountain, I think we kind of cut across, so we might run into Fred and Juliet if they need help. It's also a beeline for that escape route.
I am all for that, but we should get moving.
Yes. So we go.
Okay. So all of you... So wait, I'm sorry, tell me again, are you heading towards where you thought the sound came from, or towards the extraction point?
Okay, so the way...
We're heading due east to the extraction point.
Yeah. So instead of going along the mountains, we're going beeline towards it in case we run into Juliet and Fred and they need help.
Gotcha. Okay. So you start making your way across this dry valley towards where you thought you heard that sound. Cutting back to the sound crew. Juliet and Fred, you... how fast are you moving? Are you, like, kind of running, or are you sneaking?
I think sneaking quickly. I would say about what we were doing before.
Sneaking with purpose.
Yeah.
Sneaking with purpose? Okay. So, as you make your way towards the center of this, it definitely, like, sinks down into, like, almost a basin, like, maybe where there used to be a lake.
Okay.
And... you can see maybe like an edge of trees where there used to be, like I said, there used to be like a body of water here, so the trees eventually end. And you can see way out in the middle of this lake, there's one large boulder that seemed like an island maybe out in the middle of the lake, and kind of circling it in a, let's say pond, not lake, right? So in this pond, like down in the depth of this dried out pond, you can see 2 adolescent Blighthounds. They're both larger than the one that you trapped in a chasm, but they are smaller than a fully grown one, right? You can see they're like kind of scrabbling at the walls, like slowly digging away at the dirt, right? And up on this island and this little bit of rock, you can see 3, to your eyes, very small figures at this point. 2 of them are further up. One of them is holding a stick and just kind of like trying to club at these Blighthounds that are slowly making purchase up the rock as they're trying to climb up.
Oh, okay. We found the kids. Are the Blighthounds between us and the rock with the kids? Or are they...
I would say that's irrelevant. They're circling it. It's not a big island.
Okay.
So, not big.
Yeah. And the Blighthounds can get out of this basin, right? They're not stuck here.
Yeah, because this is like shallow bank down to an island that's a little bit steeper and rockier.
Okay.
They're eventually going to get up that island, you would assume.
Right.
There's a teenager with a stick keeping them at bay. Yeah.
No, I was making sure like the basin area, they weren't stuck in that basin.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So how do we get them out of there?
I don't love this plan, but we could go around to the far side and bait that. Put something more attractive than humans there. I can fill a bowl with water.
Think that'll get their attention?
I can splash it a bit. I would hope so. Water seems like a lot less work than hunting.
I mean, we can definitely try it, but my I think my backup plan is, if that doesn't work, we go in big and loud and try to scare them off, like Estelle did back at the ruins.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so now is the point where I go, all right, so how do you enact this plan? So am I hearing that Juliet is going to fill a bucket up with water and try to run and distract them with it to the point where they leave the kids alone, and then you guys try to just make a run for it, basically?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. She's going to run to... So if we're on the south side of the basin, she's going to go around to the north side of the basin, pour out some water, and then book it east, basically, towards the rope. And then with the idea that the Blighthounds will go north towards the water, and then Kids and Fred can also book it east towards the rope.
I will say this is the danger of that. There is not really a way to get to the north side of the island without being very obvious to the Blighthounds. It's not that big of an island. So you can do that.
The basin, you mean? Yeah.
No, not to the island, to the edge of this, like, dried out pond.
Oh.
We're basically trying to lure them away from the island.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right, so if the island is like a bullseye in the middle of this circle of the basin, I am going to the top of the circle, not the bullseye.
I understand. Okay, I will say...
So they would be leaving the basin to go north to the water.
Let's try that. I think this is maybe one of those things where it's going to depend on how well you roll, whether or not that bait is enticing enough to lure them away. You might have to do something to push them in that direction, which sounds like Fred's plan, but you can do your part first and see if it works. It'll be down to the rules.
Okay. Cool.
Guys, this is scary.
This is scary. I don't like it.
I do like, it is like mad dramatic irony that the one looking for adventure found nothing, and the one who's like, I am not going anywhere.
I know, I chose this because I wanted the safe option.
Like, it is very much poetic justice, however you want to call it.
I have nothing to help this roll.
Maybe you shouldn't do this roll. Does Fred have something that would do better with this?
I can craft a water bowl.
I have a bowl, like it's from my cooking set.
I'm a craft the water into the bowl.
So you have nothing?
That feels a little weak, yeah.
Yeah, I obviously, I wasn't being serious.
Yeah, like I have mathematics. That's what I'm working with here. I'm going to lure them with numbers.
I do love how
you can do that with a flat roll. That's fine.
Okay. I don't want to do it with a flat roll. That's what I'm saying.
I love how we make a nature game where it's all about exploring nature. And what skill does Caitlin assign herself? Mathematics.
There's math in nature. Fibonacci, man. That's a +1.
Okay.
Name other math in nature, Caitlin.
So I'll say what doesn't happen is you don't spill the water on yourself trying to get there, right? Which is
That's good.
not bad, right? So you kind of go to the other side of this island. The Blighthounds...
Can I spend fate points to succeed more? Or does it have to be a
I
specific?
think there kind of has to be an
thing.
aspect or something.
It has to be related to an aspect.
I think you can maybe re-roll. For now, let's say no.
No, that's fine.
Because
that's fine.
it will work better for what's happening within this story.
No, I get it.
So you walk around to the north side, and you're like very carefully holding this big bowl of water, and then you dump it out, and it wets the ground, and you can see that the amount of change that makes is pretty shocking. Like, the dust is so fine and dry that it immediately turns into a sludge and soaks into the ground. The ground itself suddenly almost becomes apparent underneath of all of this dust. You can suddenly see, dry earth drinking up this water very quickly. But these Blighthounds are very distracted by prey right now and not thinking so much about the water. Fred, you see all of this, that basically she dumped the water out there and it was not immediately enticing enough.
All right, here goes nothing. He's going to get out he's going to get out his, forging hammer and one of his other tools, just to have something in each hand.
Noisemakers, yeah.
Yeah. And he's, just going to start, hitting them together and basically running, yelling, and just kind of running towards that island.
All right. Do you have any kind of, performance, charisma-based check of I seem scary?
Is Fred a bigger dude?
He's not super tall. He's stocky.
Okay.
That's how I describe him.
More imposing than Juliet.
Right. Honestly, I think Autumn is taller than him. Because she's decently tall, isn't she?
Yes.
I don't remember what I've said.
What about deceit? Or, fighting?
Either of those could work.
Okay. Well, then I'd use deceit.
You can use deceit.
Trying to scare him off.
I mean, this is
You're deceiving yourself being a bigger, scarier person.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is not honest. They could probably take you in a one-on-one fight.
Yeah. That's true. That is true, yeah. Come on, be good to me. Okay, it was a wash, so 3.
Okay, so the way this works out, so there's a smaller one and a slightly larger one. I'm talking maybe there's a 50-pound one and a 60-pound one, right? And you go screaming towards them. The 50-pound one immediately rabbits. It's oh, big thing, and just runs, right? It's it was so focused on what it was doing that it's just runs. The other one turns, and it immediately goes into this is a challenger pose, right?
Oh, gosh.
So it kind of draws itself up, puffs itself up, and when you get close, it immediately lunges at you, right? And bats at you with its claws. And I'll say you take 2 physical strain from this. This is pretty bad as you just to your chest get hit by something that is fairly strong and weighs 70 pounds. That's a lot.
Okay.
Oh, are you back?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
The Blighthound took out his Wi-Fi.
Discord just decided to freeze on me for some reason.
Okay, so you heard Blighthound hit you for 2 strain, right?
No, last thing I heard was it was swiping at me with paw. Okay,
yeah, so full to the chest, 2 strain. And I'll say, right as it does that, though, you basically just follow through with your hammer and hit it right in the nose, and it yelps and just runs. It was not expecting a fight.
Okay. Yep.
And it was basically...
That was exactly the follow-up I was planning.
Yeah, it was just and it was almost less of a decided hit and more of just your body folded over and you were holding a metal hammer that hit it in the head. And that was enough to scare it off. It's never been hit with something metal before. That was shocking.
So I guess I'm at the island now, right?
Yeah, so there is a, teenage, girl looking down at you, and she just goes, "What? Who even are you?"
My name's Fred. We came from Smoky Banks to look for you. I assume you're the ones we're looking for.
Finally! That's great! Oh no, it's only been a couple of days that I've been hunted by those things! Glad you finally showed up! And she's, kind of half-heartedly swinging at you with the stick.
Sorry it took so long, I guess. I mean, I think we need to go.
We're going!
I think it's time to go.
We're going!
Go where? What do you mean, go? This is the best place I've found!
We have a place to escape. Just come on. Unless you want to stay here.
Well, who's we?
Just come on.
As you're saying that, a small child just jumps into your arms and goes, "We're going!"
I am here for Fred having to be a dad all of a sudden.
And then another head pops out from the rocks above you and just goes, "I don't trust him."
Well, trust me. Let's go. Let's go.
Meanwhile, a kid crawls up onto your shoulders and is like pulling on your hair and just going, "We're going, run that way!" And they just point south.
Juliet is like waving her arms and like, come this way, and like starting to move like at a jog towards the rope.
The teenage girl looks over at Juliet and goes, "Who's she? She seems weird."
She's with me. She's part of helping me rescue you guys. Come on, let's go. We don't have time for this. And he starts to head that direction.
Are you like the sheriff or something? Hey, you're stealing my sister. As you start to run off, the like older teenage girl like scampers down off the rocks and goes, "Hey, you can't just take her. That's kidnapping." And she's like kind of like hitting you in the back.
I mean, do you want to stay here?
I'm considering. You seem creepier than the. Well, no, that's not true. I'm consider. Fine, go for it. The 10-year-old. So there's a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old that's currently on your head. The 10-year-old is clearly not keeping pace, and the 15-year-old is like holding her arm and kind of limping.
Do we see them at all at this point?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
There was a long wait before that. I will say at this point is where you hear the dog yowling.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's our lure, so we need to really go. Can I...
Did you capture one of the dogs?
Sort of. There was a really itty-bitty one.
I punched that one!
Oh, well, good for you. That's what we used as bait. So we need to go. Can I... And she, like, tries to come under her to, like, so that she can limp faster to, like, support her weight. You know, like...
Okay.
Arm, yeah.
Yeah. She begrudgingly lets you help. And meanwhile, the 10-year-old just, like, kind of is taking off in the wrong direction.
Come this way.
All right, so you kind of manage to wrangle the kids. Begrudgingly, one of them is pulling hair. The 10-year-old is just bouncing off of trees. And the 15-year-old looks like she's about to pass out as you guys make your way towards the cliff face. When you arrive there, there's, like, a beat of a pause, and then you see Autumn and Estelle show up panting as they have just kind of booked it to the extraction point.
Hey, you found them! Good job!
Right.
Excellent. Everyone up the cliff. Go.
Yep. You, she points at the oldest girl. You're wounded. You're getting up first, I would say.
Estelle, do you want me to climb up first, or do you want to go up first?
You know what? I will, I'll go up first, and, so I can be up there with Guffy and
start pulling people up.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Alright. Alright, here we go.
So you start climbing up the cliff face. I'll say you don't need to make a roll for that. You get to the top, and as you do, you start hearing howling, and from the top, you can see, like, a herd of just, like, orange joint silhouettes running towards the cliff face.
Oh, Katars, we gotta move fast! Stop, bring her up, let's go!
Alright, so are you throwing the oldest that's kind of wounded in the harness first, dragging her up?
Yes.
I figured the 10-year-old, because whichever one's worst hurt.
The 15-year-old.
15, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you throw the harness around the 15-year-old and start dragging her up. Estelle, make a roll for that. Do any of the rest of you just want to try to free climb up?
I was kind of wondering, like, is there like a regular rope to assist you and a harness, or is
the rope is hooked to a harness? Yeah.
Okay.
And you only have one hoop on it.
Okay.
And you got 2 kids down there. One of them's currently getting pulled up.
I got a +3.
Okay.
There is. I have marked a way to climb up, though.
That's true.
Okay. I think Juliet will try to climb.
Okay.
Autumn is not going to. She's like, can I have my machete back?
Yeah, I'll try to drop it to you safely.
A machete lands right next to the 10-year-old, and he goes, "Cool, a sword!" and grabs it.
I quickly, give me that. Get up the cliff.
What do you take it from? He just starts kicking you. Did you tell him to get on the cliff?
He said, get up the cliff.
Okay, hang on.
Oh my gosh, this is Benny Hill if I ever saw it.
So, that 10-year-old just is gone. He's up the cliff. Like, you, like, look back, and there's, like, that heart-wrenching second where you're like, oh, no! And he's just, like, Spider-Man up the cliff face.
I didn't think that would work, but I'm here for it. Next, get that 10-year-old up, or that 6-year-old up.
I will say, you have some options here. Oh, wait, Juliet, you said you were just going to try to climb, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Juliet, make me a roll to climb.
I'm going to use Dexterous Hands.
Yep. You can also invoke the aspect for that marked path.
The marked path. So it's a +1. I will use my fate point.
Cool.
There's a free invoke, so you don't even have to use a fate point.
Oh, yeah, true.
Okay, yeah. I'll do that. So that would be a +3.
You scurry up with that. So basically, you have a choice here. You can stay on the ground and wait for the harness to be lowered back and maybe have to fight off Blighthounds, or Fred and Autumn, you can try to carry the kid up on your back.
Oh, that's so difficult.
It would be harder, but that's the choice. Wait for a harness or try to carry the kid up on your back.
Did my +3 get the 15-year-old up easy?
Sorry, the 15-year-old, you're like hoisting her up as she's basically just laying there limp in the harness.
Okay.
Can I tie her to me real quick?
I will say that's not going to help you in this case. I'm not going to have you murder a kid.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll grab the kid and climb up.
Okay. And what about you, Fred?
Oh, boy.
So Autumn is taking the kid up with her?
Yes.
Oh, boy, that was terrible.
Yeah, she's like piggybacking him.
I'm using a fate point to re-roll.
Okay.
That bad, huh?
I rolled -3.
Ooh. Man, I don't know if I have anything for climbing is the problem.
There's a marked path and you can spend a fate point.
Yeah, I guess I'll just try to climb.
Okay.
Using my physique.
You know what? I'm going to use my last fate point.
Oh my gosh.
For marked path?
Yeah. I mean, why not? We're at the end of an episode.
No, it's a good time to use all of your fate points.
Also, this is
it, folks.
Well, this is the part where Autumn would want to excel. I got a +6.
Dadgum.
Wow.
Man, I'm trying to decide. So, I mean, using a fate point, I could get myself to...
There's no reason to not use a fate point right now.
Yeah. Well, here's the question. And obviously, you can't tell me until I decide. If I use a fate point to get the +2, it becomes 2.
Okay.
I basically had a wash between my dice and my stats. Or I could re-roll, and I still have 1 fate point left that I could add the +2 still.
I mean, you got the fate points to burn. Why not burn them? They reset every episode.
Yeah. Right. So I'm gonna spend one.
This is the point where we say smoke them if you got them.
That was worse. Even with the fate point, it's a 1. That's unfortunate.
Okay. So at this point, Juliet, you're like halfway up the cliff face. You're kind of doing all right, just slowly doing it. Autumn, you kind of hear the howling getting closer, and you just grab the kid and jump for the rock face. Fred, you do the same thing. You're both scrambling up, and when Fred is about 15 feet up, a Blighthound jumps up and like stretches himself as far up as he can and grabs on to the like heel of Fred's boot and starts dragging him down. What does everybody do?
Do I have the 15-year-old up and safe?
I'll say at this point the 15-year-old is up and safe.
Okay, then Estelle is going to reach down to pull him up.
He is like far down.
Yeah, I'm 15 feet off the ground. You guys are 60 feet off the ground.
Can I throw him the rope and pull him up?
Yep, you can make a check to try to like lasso him and tug of war him up.
Okay, that is what I'm going to attempt to do.
Does the Zippy Bop have ranged, or is it a touch?
It's a taser.
It's a taser.
Okay.
So I could chuck it at him, but honestly, my throwing is not great, and I don't want to lose my Zippy Bop.
Well, Estelle's doing something.
That is a +5.
Dadgum. So you lasso Fred around the torso and start tugging on the rope. And I'll say basically what happens is the Blighthound bites down harder and the boot slips off of Fred's foot and he's just kind of like swung loose from the wall as you're hoisting him up, and the Blighthound is still like tearing at the wall right underneath of Autumn and Fred.
Guffy grabs the rope behind me and he's pulling too.
Yeah.
So I lost a boot.
All right, all of you make it up to the top of the cliff face and look down and just see like an orange glowing pile of Blighthounds all tearing at the cliff face, snarling up at you.
This is going to be an uncomfortable journey back, being down a boot.
It's better than a dead journey back.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Wanderlust. Music for this show is credited down below. If you like this campaign, you can find more of our shows at the Wandering Gamer website or on Podbean. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links in the description. Now bear in mind, in the wilds, some wander to get lost, and some wander to find themselves.